Hello, everyone. I guess I will just start by saying, first of all, thank you. Thank you to Lee and Philip and the Karens and Noah and Gretel for creating this amazing day. And thank you to all the speakers. It's really exactly the kind of content I want to be listened to all day long. It's inspiring and hopeful. And of course, thank you to everybody that is here. I think that what we all have in common is that we share this need and this will for hope, and we're also active about it. We create, and even the people who are here listening to us, it's really not obvious. It's Sunday morning all over the world, and you took the time and the space to be here, so it's really inspiring. I don't know if I should just start or if anybody wants to say something before that.
Go ahead, it's okay.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. So my name is Michal Hidas. I'm a fashion designer. I create fashion, and it's important for me to, other than just the aesthetics and the trends behind the fashion, I want to convey messages. We talk a lot already just in the last few hours about that it's not necessary to produce anything more. We have so many things, we have so much waste, but I believe that we all getting dressed and we will continue to get dressed. So what I aspire to do with my skills and my experience is to create fashion that also maybe can create a tiny, small, little change. So I will start with a video, and this video is from one of my fashion shows in the beautiful ancient city of Jerusalem. And I invite you to try to pay attention to what is special about this fashion show, other than the amazing location and, of course, the clothes. So let's see if it works. Okay, so that was the video, and I'm happy to share with you now the presentation about the social power of fashion, the way I see that. Great, so the social power of fashion, and what you saw right now was a fashion show from the Tower of David in Jerusalem. What was special about it, that the models, or the way I call them, role models in this show, were all of these people Here, specifically from the list of 30 under 30 of Forbes from all over the world. So these people came from the different backgrounds, nationalities, spectrums, from the autistic spectrum to the gender spectrum, ages, sizes, and backgrounds. And each one of them created something amazing that actually changed the world. So here I am giving them a little bit background about my collections, which I will try to do now in the next 10 minutes. As I said, I create fashion, and I really believe that fashion can create change. As we heard before, the design can create change or enable change. And I know that it is about aesthetics, but also if we look back about revolutions since the caveman that used fur to be warm, but also to show who's the boss, who's the strongest, who's the most powerful, to the French Revolution, the Iranian Revolution, the miniskirts in the 60s. We use fashion to convey messages and to express ourselves on a daily basis. So I was born and raised in Israel, in the north, in a very beautiful place called Kiryat. Everything there is green and beautiful and nature, and it was great. But I felt that I want to do something that is also for others after graduating from high school. So I volunteered for one gap year in Jerusalem with kids and youth. And over there, I lived together with 10 other people in an apartment of volunteers. We did everything together: cooking, eating, celebrating, working, sleeping, studying. And unfortunately, all the 10 of them got hurt very badly in a terror attack while we were there. So I was actually spending the year helping them to recover physically and mentally, which probably affected me also. And then I had to go to do a military service because it's mandatory in Israel for men and for women. So for women, it's minimum of 2 years. And over there, my job was to take care of soldiers who got hurt or got sick during their service, and to be kind of the communicator between the army, the soldiers, and their families, and also the families who lost their children. So while I was doing that, I think that I was looking for something that is more about myself. And I was just feeling that I do a lot for others, but I didn't really know who I am, what do I like, what do I want to do? And that's when I decided to study fashion. When I finished the army, I went to Milan, where everything is happening, and I continued to study there and to work there in the fashion industry in the different aspects. And actually there, I suffered a lot from the international students around me, that they hated me. They literally hated me because I'm an Israeli and I'm Jewish, and I didn't really understand it in the beginning. But later on, when I realized, I said, okay, maybe it's better for them that they don't understand what it means to be me here in Milan, working in fashion, and knowing that my friends are in Gaza in the war, and something might happen to them, like already happened before to my friends. So I studied there, and one summer when I came to Israel to visit during a summer holiday, a war started in Israel. And this is from the newspaper in Israel. And what I could do is to volunteer with kids from the south. The war was between Gaza and Israel, so it's in the south, and I was at my parents in the north. These are a few days from this volunteering with children. They are Jewish Israeli children that they go one day to be a little bit outside of the sirens and all of the madness of the war. And over there, with this very pastoral green environment, I saw the kids that if something like this will happen, they will just run away, cry, and be scared because they used to have 4 seconds to run to the shelters. When I looked at them, I really saw myself, because I'm an Israeli and I know the narrative of those children. But that made me thinking that, yeah, I know those children, but what is happening actually in the other side? I have no idea if there are even alarms in Gaza, if they have shelters, what does this kid watch? And if they have internet, if they have art, if they have games, what do they do there? So the only thing that I could have done was actually Google. And when I Googled war in Gaza, that you can see that I Googled it here in Hebrew, I saw these pictures that are very heroic, the tank and the sunset and the soldiers. But then when I Googled in English, exactly the same, war in Gaza, I saw a completely different picture. I see bombs, I see kids and the mothers. And that made me realize that the only way for me to understand what is going on there is by talking with people and creating direct connection. I also continued to Google art and artists in Gaza, and all I saw was a lot of very, very depressing, gray pictures that, you know, didn't really make me want to look more and to be more involved and to try to understand what is going on. Until that I saw those pictures, and it was actually pictures of bombing in Gaza. And I found this artist that after that, many people told me that they hate me and they don't want to talk to me. This person that actually was supposed to be with us today, and I will get to why he can't be here, and I can't even share his name because it's too dangerous for him, is an artist and an architect from Gaza. And the minute that I saw those pictures and I wrote him, we managed to connect and collaborate together as two people, as two humans, and we just became friends. We were the window for each other to learn about what is going on in the other side. And it was nice. It was very cool. So we wanted to share this with others, but we had no idea what we can or we should do. So these are just few examples of things he was trying to create. The main problem was that we don't share really a narrative that is about peace or about collaboration. We share so many things in our culture, in our life, in our food and environment and the beach and the happiness, but we don't have a language together that speaks about collaboration and about hope. So after a few weeks, a friend, Anat, led me to this sentence in the Bible and in the Quran. And this sentence speaks about Abraham, that is the father of Isaac and Ismael. So Isaac is the father of the Jews, according to the story, and Ismael of the Muslims. And they reunited to bury him after he died. And actually that was the point where the coin dropped, and we understood that this is what we want to talk about. We don't want to, again, connect for death and for burying people that we love. We want to connect for life, for creation, for hope. And that's when we started to actually collect together a Pinterest of pictures, because I was back in Milan studying and he is in Gaza. There is no chance that we can meet. All of those years, it was back in 2014, and we still didn't manage to meet to work together. But in this this is the first Pinterest board. And as you can see, the pictures are very optimistic, very naive and colorful. And we decided that each one of us will actually do what he or she does best. So as I mentioned, is an architect and a professor in the university for freehand architectural drawings. And he started to create a series of drawings inspired by our concept, the visual concept and the concept from the small sentence in the Bible and in the Quran. And what I did as a fashion designer is that I took his paintings, and here you can see an example. I started to just play with them without changing any color or anything too much, but I created patterns. And from those patterns, I created prints. And from the prints, I created textile and very wearable, comfortable, easy, and flattering clothes. This is an example of one of his drawings. So he has to draw everything in a very small notebook. Nobody is allowed to know that he's actually working with me, because it is a risk for him, for his family, for his life. But as I don't want to change anything, sometimes I just have to do convert the colors. And this is, for example, with this print. So as you can see, each print, each item is unique, and each item has his signature that, according to his words, he cannot leave Gaza, but at least part of his soul is going out and traveling to Milan, to New York, to Taiwan, and to so many different places. We also it's important for us to give employment, like we saw from Tal in the last presentation, to people in Israel and in Gaza. So all the production is made in Israel and in Palestine with sustainable materials and local people. That really, even before the seller, it's really about the employment and giving them the opportunity to be independent and to do things for themselves. All of these are the different prints from the different works that he created. And we had no idea that we are going to ever share it with anyone, but the second that we did, because we wanted people to know that this is possible, even if we are only 2 people, but we managed to connect and collaborate. This thing actually went very big and very wide and was everywhere in every fashion magazine, architecture magazine, design, exhibitions and fashion shows around the world. But unfortunately, there was not even one time, after so many times that we've been asking to let him join me and present our work together, that he was able to do that. These are also, this is an exhibition in Italy from sculptures from 500 BC. And the whole concept, we decided to call it bridging, because we see it as a way that we bridge between our cultures and between our realities and between our words. So I was going around the world teaching also in university, and it was very important that we spread this message for the future generations and also the present generations, and to give some hope. And this one day in the Jerusalem Design Week, that we also heard a bit about it today, is a very important event in Israel. We didn't know if it will happen, but on that morning, he managed to arrive. And in this is a picture of us together that, as I told you, unfortunately, I cannot share his identity. And I wish I could, and he also wish he could have been here. But this day was the opening night, and there were 3,000 people there that came outside the house to see art and to see design, to see his work on the walls. These are 2 journalists from Vogue Italia and New York Times wearing the same cape that we designed. It was a very emotional and exciting evening. We were sharing the stories. It's actually in the dark because there was no electricity, and he thought it's only in Gaza possible. But it was like that with the works on the wall. And it was just very, very exciting and emotional. I also forgot to mention that in Gaza, the maximum of electricity they can have is between 6 to 8 hours a day. And it can start in random hours. So it can also start at 1 a.m., for example, or stop at noon and stuff like that. So while we were experiencing this, you can call it success, and we managed to tell our story, we also knew that many people at the same time in Syria actually are experiencing a completely different reality. And we couldn't bear that. We really wanted to continue and give from with our voice, with our, platform or our fashion. As you can see, that people want to touch it and they want to be part of it. They want to go with it to places. And we managed to convey the message, but we also wanted to share the story of the Syrians. So, for example, I was with Syrians who managed to come to Israel to get medical treatments in the hospital or in refugee camps. Those are just some of the pictures of the kids, as you can see, the narratives, and we don't have much time, so I have to really be quick, just living with them, doing yoga with them, listening to their stories. And as we were invited to New York Fashion Week, we decided to use this platform and to create a fashion collection that is inspired and dedicated to the Syrians and to refugees. So we took sentences that they said to me that just really inspired me. So I just wrote them down without knowing what I'm going to do with them. For example, a long silence could have been avoided. And I gave the sentences to my Palestinian creative partner in Gaza and to a Jewish calligrapher from Jerusalem. And by connecting them, I created new prints and managed to continue and share the stories with this fashion. And as you can see, everything is very, very optimistic, very colorful and hopeful. And we find that this is the way for us to get to people and to help them to open up a little bit their minds and their hearts. So yeah, we don't have much time at all. I just want to again say thank you. These are a few more pictures. And I hope that we will manage to continue to create a change. All of the small pictures and small drawings are also inspired by refugees that create those small sketches all the time and are very symbolic for them. The bird in the cage, the key, the hands, and you can see the calligraphy everywhere. And these are, again, the guys that we started with, my role models from the Forbes fashion show. Actually, they come from so many different fields of life, and they all came to thank me for being part of that, especially one that was when she was young, a refugee in Europe. And she came to tell me, thank you that somebody is talking about this topic. And everybody's talking about, no, not everybody, many people are talking about this topic, but it's the challenging thing is really to get to people's conscious and to do something about it. And I believe that it's something that can move on. This is also a refugee here. I'm now in Germany, and she's from Syria, grew up in Lebanon. And talking really about the future, there are so many more communities and there are so many more things that we can do to speak about inclusivity, and not just to speak, but actually to act and to work towards that. I just realized 10 minutes ago, I think in the talk of Tal, that in Hebrew, the word for company is also the word for society, chevra. And I think this tells a lot about us as Israelis. So the future is, of course, for me, adaptive, speaking about all the different people. And I really want to see more of my friends, also those with physical disabilities, wearing the things that I can wear and other people. So to be continued. And thank you again so much for your time and for being here. I really appreciate that.